A very good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is 12 October 2025 Sunday class. As usual, we will be continuing our sharing from this book, the Surangama Sutra, commentary by Master Hsuan. Okay, let us gather for physical puja. Let us compose our mind, develop the faith, Saddha, Virya, then mindfully we shall commence the puja chanting. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 观世音菩萨 Namo 药师佛 Namo 药师佛 Namo 药师佛 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 普贤菩萨 Namo 文殊菩萨 Namo 文殊菩萨 Namo 文殊菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 地藏王菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Namo 佛菩萨 Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Saukasangho Sanghang Namami Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Buddhang saranang gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Adinadana Veramani Sikkhapada Samadhiyami Kamesu Miccācara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Surameraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, let's pay respect to Puja. Buddhang Pujami Dhammang Pujami Sanghang Pujemi. Invocation to the Devas. In this universe, in the entirety, let the deities or Devas come here. Let them hear the good teaching of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release, Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. Samanta Chakawalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhamang Munirajasa Sunantu Sakamokadang Dhamma Sharing Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Sharing Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Sharing Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Peso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja Charana Sampanno Sukato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarti Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipaseko Opanaiko Pacyatang Veditabo Vinohiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyāyapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidang Cattari Purisa Yukani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkeneyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttarang Punyang Ketang Lokasati Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, you can be seated and we shall continue from where we stopped. We are at number 10. The early history of the sutta and the issue of its authenticity. The Surangama Sutra at that time in India. The period in India just prior to the Surangama Sutra's transmission to China at the beginning of the 8th century was one of social upheaval, political fragmentation, and severe social strain. The country was divided into many feudal kingdoms, with a good share of extremely violent rulers and a resurgence of tribal influence. Buddhism was in danger of losing its traditional support or social support and was facing new challenges from the Hindu Soviet Tantrism that was spreading from South India. This was the context of the initial flourishing of Indian esoteric Buddhism, along with its Siddha traditions. Moral challenges and confusion arose both in secular society and within the Buddhist community. Powerful sorcerers, tribunal, Sattviya, and self-described Buddhists flaunted their superpowers or psychic powers and tried to overturn the fundamental precepts of the monastic life. Given this atmosphere, it must have been quite plain at that time that the teaching of the Surangama Sutra directly addressed the problem that Indian society was experiencing. Perhaps that was why, according to the traditional account, this sutta was considered a state treasure at that time. Concerned about the sutra's authenticity, the authenticity of the Surangama Sutta has been challenged by some modern scholars on the grounds that since no Indic origin or original is extant, the text must be no translation at all, but rather an original composition in the Chinese. The date of the translation has also been questioned, and textual anomaly that might suggest the interpolation of purely Chinese cultural element has been identified. There was strong reason to believe, however, that the original text can only be from Indian origin. It is true, for example, that during Buddhism's earlier century in China, spurious or corrupted Buddhist texts were circulated, but by 705 CE, when the translation of the sutra was completed, Chinese monastic scholar has become sufficiently skilled to recognize inauthentic texts. Further, while some details in the text do seems to arise from a Chinese context, this could merely represent choices made by the translator to substitute Chinese equivalent or analog for unfamiliar Indian elements that were present in the original. A prime example is the appearance of ascetic masters in part 9, among the list of categories. When I look at the notes, not the notes, it's okay. 47, Esoteric Buddhism. Then 48, a brief summary of modern scholarly claims of inauthenticity, and of a refutation of them can be found in Ronald Epstein. Surangama Sutra, a reappraisal of its authenticity. This is a summary of the unpublished monograph of the same title. Then note 49, beginning of Taoan in the 4th century. And note 50, for example, the references to parallel phenomena and other malign astronomical influence, and the mention of housewife, use of metal mirrors to focus light on tinder to make fire. In other cases, what may seem Chinese turn out on further investigation to be move up. Go to the notes. To be Indian as well. For example, in part 9.2, the Buddha sighted an owl that lay its egg on the ground. This could easily be the grass owl, which is found in both India and China. And 52 is according to Mono William, Sanskrit English Dictionary. The risks were regarded by later generation as patriarchal sages or saints, and constitute a peculiar class of beings in the early mystical system as distinguished from God, man and Asura. Okay, move down back to the the top page. No. After this already, I think.
You need to continue the sentence.
Oh, okay. A prime example is the appearance of ascetic master in part 9 among the list of categories of beings. The Chinese uses the character Hsuan. Hsuan means the heavens, the heavenly beings, for these ascetic masters. This Hsuan, often translated as immortal, Hsuan is a Chinese character for the long-lived spiritual master of the Chinese Taoist tradition. The appearance of such a clear Taoist word has led some scholars to suggest that the passage is evidence that the Surangama Sutra was composed in China. A much more plausible explanation is also the simpler one, that the Indic origin was Resh, which refers to the ascetic Hindu saint. The Chinese translator sensibly chose to render Resh as Hsuan, supposing the two kinds of ascetic to be, if not precisely equivalent, then at least occupants of similar spiritual niche in their respective society. The presence of two indisputable Indian elements that play leading roles in the text also point to an Indian origin. One of these, already mentioned here, is the presence of Indian Buddhist logic in the many syllogism and the use of the fourfold negation. The other is the Surangama Sutra, Surangama mantra, which a Chinese text leaves untranslated, and which lies at the heart of the sutra's instruction for spiritual practice. Having considered the authenticity of the Surangama Sutra from the point of view of the historical criticism of religious texts, it is important to consider it as well from the point of view of the sutra's own tradition. Whatever the historical origin and provenance of these texts may ultimately be shown to be, if indeed the question about it can never be definitively answered. One fact is not in dispute. The Surangama Sutra has been widely accepted in China as canonical for well over 1,000 years. Such acceptance reflects the view that a religious text authoritativeness must be measured by its effectiveness as a guide to moral and spiritual practice. From this pragmatic and orthopraxic point of view, the Surangama Sutra may be correctly deemed to be authentic, simply because generations of advanced practitioners and their students and disciples have revered this text, have followed its instruction, and have explained it to others as a trustworthy prescription of moral purification and spiritual advancement towards enlightenment. In the mind of its many admirers, then the sutra's validity and importance do not depend on whether the text actually represents a verbatim record of words spoken by the Buddha Sakyamuni in the Magalan dialects of Sanskrit in what is now Uttara Pradesh, sometime in the 5th century BCE. From this point of view, uncertainty about the sutra text history is not a cause for any uncertainty among its ethical and spiritual truth. Then note 55, Si Han San. Han San. Yeah, 52. Si Han San what? Te Jing. In his autobiography, in the entry of his 31st year after my great awakening. This is by Han San himself. Having no other to confirm and testify to it, I opened the Surangama Sutra to verify my experience. I had not listened previously to lecture on this sutra, and so did not know its meaning. Now, by using the power of the direct seeing or direct reasoning of the non-discriminating mind, and without even the slightest use of its consciousness, since there was no room for thinking, I gained after 8 months of complete comprehension of its profound meaning, without having a single doubt left. This was translated by Charles Luke in his book Practical Buddhism, London, Rider, 1971, 83. Then Martin Verhoeven in his article, Glistering, Frost and Cooking Sand, unalterable aspect of purity in Zen Buddhist meditation, has called attention to the importance of the Surangama Sutra as a guide, tool, and standard for correct meditation practice in the life of the famous enlightened Zen master Hsuan between 1840 to 1959. In discussing that master's great awakening, Verhoeven comments, he credited the Surangama Sutra with instilling in him the importance of purity and the consequent dispassion it instilled. If I had not remained indifferent to both favorable and adverse situations, he reflected, I would have passed another life aimlessly, and this experience would not be possible or would not have happened. In purity of heart and contemplation, a monastic dialogue between Christian and Asian traditions, New York, London, Continuum 201, 85 FF. See also Xuanhua's, Venerable Xuanhua's. Where the Surangama Sutra exists, then the proper Dhamma exists. If the Surangama Sutra ceases to exist, then the proper Dhamma will also vanish. If Surangama Sutra is inauthentic, then I vow to fall into the hells of pulling tongue, to undergoing uninterrupted suffering. On the authenticity of the Surangama Sutra, before the subsequent, I think this one is the online description. Then there's another part, Dok Chen, in his Nihon Shisho Taikei, say of the text, even if it were a forgery, if the Buddha and Bodhisattva had taken it up, it is a true Buddhist sutra, a true Patriarch Sutra, a traditional Dhamma will of the Buddha and Bodhisattva, translated by Zhao. Okay, we move up. Okay, then we go to the next part, the traditional account of his transmission to China. So the first part is to prove the authenticity of the thing. I think it's not important. Like the Buddha say, if it's the truth, he will send up to investigation, so no problem. So now we move on to the traditional account of his transmission to China. The Venerable Master Xuanhua has summarized the traditional account of the transmission of the sutra from India to China as follows. The king of one of the regions of India had proclaimed the Surangama Sutra to be a national treasure because it was one of the sutra that the Bodhisattva Nagarjuna had brought back from the dragon palace. After the proclamation, no one was permitted to take the sutra out of the country. At that time, Bhikkhu Paramiti was intent upon getting the sutra out of India into other countries, especially China. He set out for China carrying a copy of the sutra, only to be stopped by custom officers, officials, who would not permit him to carry the sutra across the border. He returned home and tried to think of a way to get the sutra out of the country. Finally, he thought of a way. He wrote out the sutra in minute character, in extremely fine silk, roll it up and seal it with wax. Then he cut open his arm and placed the small scroll inside his flesh. Next, he applied medicine to the wound and waited for it to heal. Some people say he put the sutra in his leg, but I think that since it would not have been respectful to place the text below the waist, he probably chose some fleshy part on the upper part of his body and put the sutra there. When the wound healed, he again set out for China and passed the border guard without incident. Eventually he arrived at Guangdong, where he happened to meet the court official Fang Yun, who invited him to reside at a temple in Guangdong while he translated the sutra. So this one under note 55, the sutra is the Surangama Sutra. Okay. Then a brief explanation of some important technical terms. For those who are new to Buddhist teaching, we offer here a brief explanation of important terms and concepts mentioned in the sutta. Move it up. Introduction, the part on no self. The teaching on no self is fundamental to Buddhism. The Buddha did not teach that we do not exist, but he did teach that suffering is caused by our clinging to a self, an individuality that is illusionary and does not exist. What self is? What self is it that does not exist? It is not merely the personality or ego that identifies itself in terms of social role and interaction. Buddhism denies the existence of a basic self that it identifies with our physical being, including our gender, and also the existence of what is called the soul and other levels of spiritual self. The existence of a self of cosmic consciousness that is identified with the universe is also denied. All these selves are constructed, conventional designations that only contribute to our attachment to illusion. The true reality that does exist, and that is who we really are, lies beyond our attachment to a duality of self and others, and a duality of existence and non-existence. I think this part, Sui, you move down. This part, I think the explanation by this commentary is not so clear. So they put the title as No Self. Actually, it's not to say no self. The correct word should be non-self. Means there is a human being, there is a living being, there is a five aggregates of form and mind. Means there is such thing as life, existence, human being, living being. But the non-self meaning is, it's not a permanent, unchanging entity. That is the correct meaning. Means this so-called human being or living being that we call self, we believe this is what we are, not understanding that this five aggregate of form and mind, or the so-called human being for our case, or living beings for others, they are just dependent originating phenomena. It's not a permanent, unchanging entity. That's why it's called non-self. It's not nothingness. There are things. There are living beings. There are human beings. There are these five aggregate of form and mind. But this is only one aspect of existence, the manifestation from the karmic nature. Without the karmic nature, this five aggregate of form and mind cannot arise. So you need a karmic nature. So this karmic nature that I show on the board here, on the whiteboard here, this karmic nature is not a being, it's not you. It's a nature. A nature means all the karmic accumulation that living beings accumulate over a long period of birth and death. So as I have explained, over the long period of birth and death. It can be eons and eons and eons. So every segment of this, which one is you? In fact, none of them are you. Each and every of these segments, although they come and they go, means born and die. What is happening is, within that segment, every thought moment that arises condition the karmic nature. Means the karmic conditioning every moment, every instant. That's why all this summation of all the karmic moments or karmic consciousness that accumulate over that segment, then you add up all the infinite segment, it becomes your karmic nature. And this one is a nature, it's not a being. It cannot come out and live life. But this nature can create causes and conditions for a form and mind to arise through the karmic process. And this one, when it arises, without wisdom, living being deludedly grabs and cling on to this, believing that this is what they are. They believe they are born, they go through life, they existed, then they die. Then after that, rebirth and all those things. But according to the Buddha's teaching, he realized this one, the five aggregate of form and mind, or for our case, the so-called human being, is just a karmically conditioned five aggregates of form and mind for us to come into this existential world, to live life, to go through the karmic process, to do whatever we want to do, to fulfill our vows, or to cultivate and develop all those understanding and perfection, and also to go through the karmic process. So all this, we call it the phenomenal world of consciousness that evolve, move, and manifest in accordance with nature's condition, or they call it the pancha niyamas. And there is no reality as what we have developed as understanding. As real as it can be, is only within the moment, which is the highest in life. So existence is time related. Existence is time related in the sense that to exist, we have to go through time. So when we understand that, then in order to understand existence or life, we need to understand time. So the whole spectrum of time, we can easily capture it and define it very clearly. Means the whole spectrum of time is just past, present, and future. And we know of these three, past, present, and future, the past, which is already gone, is no more a reality. The future also, something yet to happen or come, also not a reality. So what happened in life, in existence, is the present moment is the only reality in life. And moment to moment, life passes by. That is the only reality. And how stable is the reality? The present moment. Split second is day and gone. Split second is day and gone. It come and it go. This moment, then next moment, next moment. So, if you have the pure awareness nature to see how it manifests and creates, then you see clearly that all this is not what you think. It's very transient, moment to moment. Life passes by. What are you doing? And every moment is so transient. Practically no reality. Just consciousness and its content arise and pass away. They create the whole karmic nature and karmic process. Then there is this, what they call conditioned worlds Dhamma, that manifests all the movement It can be the law of karma, law of mind, paticca samuppada, or law of truth. So that is the correct interpretation of what anatta is. Anatta is not actually limited to non-self. Anatta here means because it's not a permanent, unchanging entity, that's why you cannot call it self. You cannot say this is me, this is I. Therefore all this can be mine. So understanding the aspect is very important. If the only reality in life or existence is only the present moment, and this present moment arises and passes away so fast, that's why the transient nature means empty nature of existence. No reality means what? He know you, he know me. Well, everything is dependent, originating, condition arising, like what the Buddha came to realize. If that is the case, it's only momentary, transient, moment to moment. Consciousness arises and passes away. And each and every of these consciousness, they are all dependent, originating entity. That's why that teaching becomes very profound. Then when you realize that you awaken, and when one awakens, one can liberate the mind to go beyond all this delusion created by the phenomenal world of consciousness. This phenomenal world of consciousness, which is the result of our five aggregate of form and mind that manifests the mundane mind or the thinking mind, the mano, is the real illusionist, or what we call magician, that create illusion or like magic for you to see. And without this delusion, through the direct seeing, the meditative awakening, then you realize this phenomenal world of consciousness is illusionary, not real, not what you think. The wrong view that conditions suffering and misery and all the whole movement, they are not a reality. They are in fact manifested through avijja, ignorance. And once that is made clear or awakened to, then the whole creation process from the source until the phenomenal world of consciousness, the four circle formation, the four stages of creation can be seen clearly, and its unreality all can also be seen clearly. Okay, now we go back to the notes, then we continue from there. So I just want to make clear about the anatta teaching. Move it up. Then now, the next part is enlightenment or awakening. In this volume, we use the English term enlightenment or awakening as synonymous. In Buddhism, when these terms are used in a formal sense, they do not connote a temporary experience, but rather a complete and irreversible transformation of one's fundamental way of being in the world. Only the enlightenment of a Buddha is perfect and complete. Bodhisattva, solitary sages, or what we call Pacceka Buddhas, and Arahants, they have awakened, but have not perfected their awakening. All enlightened beings have three accomplishments in common. They have seen through the illusion of self. This is the part. Sakaya Ditti. They have achieved permanent release from the cycle of birth and death. And as a byproduct of their enlightenment, they possess spiritual powers. The Sanskrit word bodhi, which we have translated as full awakening, refer to this in this text to the awakening of the enlightenment of a Sammasambuddha. So this is their explanation. Then Dhamma and Dhammas. In Buddhism, Dhamma no longer have its Hindu meaning of religious duty according to one's class. In Buddhist usage, the word has several meanings as follows. It is a general term for the Buddha's teaching as a whole, the Dhamma, or the Buddha's Dhamma. And it also may designate a particular teaching, usually a method of practice leading to enlightenment. It also signifies the reality that one realizes upon one's enlightenment. That is the fundamental reality that is immanent in the entire universe. Means they call it the Dhamma rhyme. It is a term for the individual components of a teaching, often as an item in a list. Among them are the list of the various divisions of the mental and physical world. We sometimes translate Dhammas in this sense as phenomena. Then number 4 is also a term both for the sense data that enters our mind through our faculties of perception and for the thought and emotion that arise in our mind and are identified by the faculty of cognition. We translate Dhammas in this sense as mental object or object of cognition. Then under the notes, I read 58, Dhamma Dhatu. Oh, Fa Jie. The 10 Dhamma rhymes. The 4 destiny or the 6 destiny of the unenlightened beings. Means here they call it gods, but actually it's heavenly beings. Asura, human being. Animal rhyme. Peta, or ghost. And the hell. Then there is also 4 levels of sage. The Buddha, rhyme of the Buddha, 4 Fa Jie. Pusa Fa Jie, rhyme of the Bodhisattva. Then rhyme of the Pajika Buddhas. Then rhyme of the sound hearer. Of course here they put only Arahants. It's actually the 4 we call it the sainthood way, the 4 stages of sainthood. Okay, we move up. Okay, then next part is Samadhi. Here the translation is, the first word is not correct. Here he says Samadhi is a concentrated, self-collected, intense state of mind and meditation with concomitant with right living. Is a necessary condition to attain the higher wisdom and emancipation. Go down to the notes, I see what they write. Okay, 60. Oh, this one is defined by this David Reyes. Okay, not accurate. Okay, wait. Samadhi. So this samadhi is actually not concentration. Samadhi is actually a collectedness of mind. The mind that is unwavering, collected, means your true mind. The one that is not collected and can waver and stir is a mundane mind. That's why the Mahayana practitioner who understand, they will know when you arise the thought, 起心动念即无明, that is avijja, or what we call ignorant. Then the other one is 无念就是真心. Without thought, that is your true mind. So samadhi is actually your true mind, which is collected and unwavering. But when the wisdom arises, then it becomes upekkha. So initially, samadhi is needed for you to develop the direct seeing to awaken. Because when your mind is in the state of sati, stabilized, means this mind has become collected and unwavering. Then at the moment of sense experience, your mind doesn't stir or waver. That's why you can see things as they are. And it is the condition for arising of wisdom and understanding. So all these are very important understanding. Okay, we read on that. There are 4 distinct senses in which the word samadhi is used. First, it designates the correct mental factor or concentration that is necessary preliminary to the deeper meditative state. That one you can ignore. Second, samadhi indicates the deeper level of mental concentration and stability which may be reached through correct. This one also not correct. You can ignore. This level includes the 4 dhyan jhanas. That's why it's different. This is describing jhana, which correspond to the state of mind of the Brahmarine, or gods in the heaven, of the form rhyme. Then the 4 samapatis, or we call the formless rhyme. That's why these are jhanas. Third, there are even more profound levels of samadhi that are experienced by enlightened beings. Then 4th samadhi may be referred specifically to the Surangama Samadhi, which is the state of mind of all Buddha, and which is discussed at length in this sutta. So this one, I think there is already a distortion of what the real samadhi is, because they couldn't understand that teaching in its profound sense, and because of that, they try to create a meaningful explanation to the teaching. So when you do that, you have to end up doing all this entanglement as a source of information to actually explain the thing. Because it is very clear that the Buddha, when he was following the last 2 teachers, Alara and Uddaka, he also taught the 4 form jhana and the four formless jhana. And Mahayana call it the 四禅八定. But this so-called four form jhana and the four formless jhana, they are just jhanic state with jhanic factors inside. These are not the real samadhi as explained under the teaching by Sakyamuni Buddha. So you have to pay attention to that and make a note. Okay, we go back to the note. Emptiness. There are at least three ways in which the idea of emptiness can be understood. First is on the intellectual level. Then second is in practice. And finally is as a description of enlightenment. On the intellectual level, it can be said that emptiness means that all Dhamma, all phenomena, mental and physical, lack an independent existence of their own, and exist only through reliance on other phenomena. So this is just a description. All Dhamma lack real, permanent, essential attributes that distinguishes them from all other phenomena. In other words, everything in the world, both physical and mental, they are all interdependent, dependent originating. Nothing exists entirely on its own. It's not a permanent unchanging entity, separate and with no causal relationship to anything else. Thus all Dhamma are empty of any individual inherent being. So this one is the definition. You move up a bit, so okay. Oh, 自性, okay. You move down back. I need to explain the first one, okay. So this emptiness, according to them, there are three ways to explain. First is the intellectual way level. This intellectual level, which they don't quite understand, you cannot penetrate the understanding of emptiness based on intellectual understanding. Like I can explain to you, it's not a permanent unchanging entity. It's dependent originating condition arising cause of phenomena. That's why the law of mind, citta niyama, is based on the paticca samuppada, the dwelling. Paticca samuppada means the law of dependent originating or dependent origination. Everything that arises, like the Buddha said, whatever arises, there are causes and conditions behind. Means they are all dependent originating entity where we live in a conditioned world. Everything that arises and passes away within the conditioned world are dependent originating, condition arising, causal phenomena. Like the Buddha explained, whatever arises, there are causes and conditions behind where we live in a conditioned world. So that is the deep meaning. But if you just intellectually listen and try to understand through logic, through thought process, then through reasoning, through analytical analysis, you can't. You cannot awaken to the deep penetrative meaning of emptiness, sunyata. Or in the teaching of the Buddha, as taught under the Theravada tradition, he taught this concept of anatta. Anatta is a very unique word. It is in between atta and attaniya. That's why it's in between. Atta is self. Then attaniya is no self, completely nothing. That's why the teaching didn't really stand out in the sense that people cannot understand this anatta. We translate it as non-self, means it's not nothingness, it's not no self. There is something, but this one is not a permanent, unchanging entity. That's why it's not what you think. So we call it non-self, not a permanent, unchanging entity. That everything still remains. And because of that understanding, one awakens. Then one is not deluded by the form and mind, by the five aggregates of form and mind. And with that, they are not deceived by the phenomenal world of consciousness, where this five aggregates of form and mind create illusion. Mind make adi. That's why mind is a forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. When mind arises, all things arise. So all creation starts with the mundane mind. So coming back to the whiteboard as a revision, I explain one more time. Maybe it will help you. So for those who develop the pure awareness-based meditation, if you silence your mind, means awareness-based, you bring your consciousness, which is the mundane creation, back to the pure awareness nature. Then from there, you just develop the wisdom to cease. Then this pure awareness will go through that cessation of form and mind, which the Buddha called enlightenment in the here and the now. When the enlightenment manifests, when that thing happens, it's just like one realizes Nibbana. But Nibbana is not an experience. It's not something that can be talked about, described. It's unconditioned. That's why I prefer to use the word the mundane mind, the five aggregates of form and mind, when it realizes itself, means this one is not real, it's a delusion. Then this mundane mind ceases. And when it ceases, the pure awareness nature also ceases. It will not have any more power to create from the pure awareness nature the mundane thinking. And because of that wisdom, it ceases. Then it realizes the source. So this source, or sometimes we will call it the original nature, the true nature, the oneness nature, or whatever. Different religion may call it differently. But this one is like the source of all things. From there, all things arise. So, when you realize this, then you will understand the whole movement, the whole creation. But to understand all this, you have to actually let it cease. Then let that consciousness come out again. Because before a being dies, after he is enlightened, awakening, then he realizes Nibbana. But if it's not the time for that form and mind to completely cease and go through parinibbana and cease, then this consciousness can return. That's why the enlightened being, especially the arahants, the bodhisattvas, the great beings, even Sammasambuddha, after they realize the enlightenment, for Sakyamuni Buddha's case is underneath the Bodhi tree at the age of 35, when he realized the enlightenment and the whole understanding come back to him. That moment, underneath the Bodhi tree, he realized Nibbana. Then after that, when he come out, he understood and recalled everything. He inherited everything. So this source is very difficult to understand and comprehend unless you go the Bodhisattva way to develop the perfection of cultivation, realizing the 10 perfection to realize Sammasambuddhahood. So what happened is, from the source, all living beings, from here you come out. But the first thing to come out after you go through the cessation, you will know there is this pure awareness, nothing else, just this one. Then from here, how actually at the heart area, it will break into 3 areas of consciousness. At the heart it manifests first, then one portion come out to the brain to activate the brain, then the other one move to the Tantian to activate the so-called human being. Then to think, to arise consciousness and to become conscious and live as a living being, to have all this movement, you need this pure awareness. And this is the primordial, the first thing to come out for all living beings. And this one is already there before creation. So from here, the Buddha said, it creates. That's why he said, mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind is chief. When mind arises, all things arise. So this is the part you have to see clearly. And the mundane manifestation, the condition arising mind, the thinking mind, that is not your true mind. That is condition arising, cause of phenomena, dependent originating. So all of meditation is to develop this pure awareness so that you return all the thinking, the thought process to the pure awareness nature. And from there, silent. And this is the real samadhi. This one can see things as they are, can see the creation, the manifestation, and how all these things come to be. Then all the essential Dhamma, the teaching, all can be understood. So this part is very important. Okay, go back to the notes. So that is the first part of emptiness. So the actual understanding of emptiness is not what people think. Even this commentary, they couldn't understand what it is. Okay, we move up further. Then I read on. An intellectual understanding of emptiness can be extended into a method of practice and a way of life, that emptiness is experienced in every moment. So, to empty our experience means first to remove the me and the I and the mind. From every thought means the egoic entity that arises in our consciousness. Sustained contemplation of the emptiness of the self can extricate us from ego-centered experience and liberate us from the prison of selfishness. We learn to see ourselves and our concern, our desire and fear as empty, like a mirage or a dream, as transient, ephemeral, as a bubble or a lightning flash, as described in the Dhamma Sutra. So this part is actually not too bad. But when he say translating the intellectual understanding of emptiness, by putting it into practice, you have to go through the realization. It is not method of practice and a way of life that empties our experience in every moment of the so-called atta or self. So this one is just a description, because you follow text. You tend to describe it this way because you believe this is enlightenment. But how did the process happen is very important. How do one realize that the so-called ego or the so-called personality is not real? The empty nature of the being means no mark of a self, no mark of others, and no mark of life, existence, everything. What they fail to establish is they have not realized the unconditioned. If you have not realized the unconditioned, you cannot understand the conditioned world. Because, like what the Buddha explained very clearly in his teaching, he said, if there does not exist the unconditioned, then escape from the conditioned world will be impossible. That's why you have to realize the cessation of form and mind. You have to realize Nibbana. You cannot use an intellectual understanding and hope to practice, then like a way of life to live it with that knowledge that you experience in every moment through that knowledge or idea that there is no I, no me. They didn't even describe it as a non-permanent, unchanging entity. Because if they cannot see that movement through the pure awareness nature, then they cannot comprehend, they cannot awaken. So to realize that is an awakening, is a direct seeing things as they are. Then when you realize that everything is just dependent, originating, condition, arising, cause of norm, and as real it can be is only within the moment, that penetrative insight, realization, awakening will lead to the cessation. Then from the cessation it will come out and let the form and mind that go through that transformation realize the enlightenment. Then here the English translation, the Dhamma Sutra, the fourth stanza also not so accurate. The first stanza is a star, a fault of vision as a lamp, a moksha, dewdrop, or a bubble, a dreamer lightning. I think this is all not correct, not authentic. The authentic one should be 一切有为法, the Mandarin version. 一切有为法 means everything within the conditioned world is condition arising Dhamma. Understand? Without condition, nothing arises. That is 有为法. Then the unconditioned Dhamma is 无为法. No need condition. It's the unconditioned. Then 如梦幻泡影 means everything within the conditioned world is conditioned Dhamma, and they are like a dreamlike. 如梦. Huan is illusionary. Pao is like a bubble. Pop, gone. Pop, gone. No reality. And Ying Zi is like a shadow that moves around, following causes and conditions. Then it is like a lightning, a morning dew and a lightning flash. 如露一如电. Then you have to contemplate it such. 应作如是观. That is the deep meaning. So the English translation here, you can ignore it. Okay, I read on. Emptying ourselves, open up to the fullness of the world, you actually cannot empty yourself. You have to realize that understanding and awakening, that wisdom. Emptying experience also entails eliminating the boundaries that we have drawn to cope with the world. The wall we erect to prevent ourselves, the turf we stack out to rule, and the fantasies of future conquest that we map in our mind. This one is their own interpretation. Emptying ourselves must lead to the emptying of the other, the non-self. These are all descriptions which they cannot understand. Then when the line that divides them is erased, then there is no conflict, no longing, anything to fear or to gain. This one all you can ignore. This is not the way to realize it. Then with enlightenment comes the realization that true emptiness is identical to the fullness of wondrous existence. This one they quote from the Heart Sutta. It can be reached through the hard work of being aware of every single thought and emptying them one by one. It's not emptying them by one. When you develop the pure awareness nature inside, the pure awareness, when you stabilize it, then this mind, which is your true mind, can see things as they are. The silent observation of what is. It can also insight in the phenomena and awaken. Then it can insight into the three universal characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So this is how you penetrate the Dhamma. You awaken to the illusory world. That sakkaya deity that actually condition one to grasp and cling onto the five aggregate of form and mind as the me and the I and the ego. Because living beings that don't have the awakening cannot understand that part. That's why the realization need to be awakened to. It's not a knowledge. It's not something intellectual. And you cannot learn it through knowledge, through the thought process, through reasoning, through analysis, all these things you can't. Okay, I will read on. With enlightenment comes the realization of true emptiness. Oh, this one I have covered. Then the next part is the five aggregate of form and mind. Okay, the five aggregates of form and mind. The word aggregate renders the Sanskrit word of skandhas, which means heaps or pile or aggregation. The Buddha once illustrated his teaching with the aggregates of the five small piles of different grains. Sui, move on. The five aggregates, they just describe it as form, perception, cognition, and mental formation, and consciousness are general categories that together includes everything that we experience in the psychophysical world. Thus, they can be an effective tool for understanding the teaching of, here they use no self again, non-self it should be. If one analyzes all aspects of which one feels to be oneself, one finds that all fall within the scope of the five aggregates. More specifically, the aggregates of form comprises what we perceive as our body and the rest of the physical world. The aggregate of sense perception comprise the first five faculty of perception of the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and bodily tactile. And their intake of the 5 corresponding categories of sense data, which are visible object, color, shape and form, sound, odor, flavor, and tactile object. We respond to this perception as pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. So this one is all describing it according to the scripture, without much understanding. The aggregate of cognition include the function of identifying sense data and making distinction or discrimination concerning the data. It also involves differentiating between mental content. Thus, it includes the higher perception, perceptual function, and thinking process. For example, the use of language, etc. This one is all description only. Then the aggregates of mental formation refer to both conscious and non-conscious volitional force, including conscious intention or act of will, means the mental intention, inert predisposition resulting from karma created during previous life, and the unconscious force having to do with basic life function, nourishment, and growth. And the area of consciousness is the subtle basis of the aggregates of sense perception, cognition, and mental formation. It consists of a subtle distinction making awareness that distinguishes awareness from the object of awareness. This one is rather confusing. You can forget about it. The one that I taught you all is better, because the 5 aggregates of form and mind, they are mainly form, which is rupa. Rupa got 2 aspects. The first aspect is as a human being, our physical body. Each and every 5 aggregates of form and mind, we have a physical body, or rupa. And there is this external form that one come to perceive through the perception aggregate or sanya. Then the second aggregate is feeling. Then to understand that, we have to understand and inquire through what can we do. Because the Buddha say we have 2 parts. One is the physical form. Then the external form that comes through the perception aggregate are the external phenomenal world's form, the sense data. Then the other aspect is the mind. The mind has 4 more aggregates. And these 4 aggregates you can inquire, what can your mind do? In that sense, you will understand it better. First, we can feel. That's why the second aggregate should be feeling, not sense perception. They get it totally confused. It should be feeling. Feeling or sensation. So this feeling is an ability of the mind. We can sense. Feeling can arise. Pleasant and unpleasant feeling. Your like and dislike. Then neutral feeling, etc. This is part of the aggregate of feeling. Like hot or cold, we can feel. That is the sensation part. Then, apart from sensation, it can also give rise to emotion, like fear, worry, anxiety, envy, jealousy, excitement, peacefulness of mind, tranquility, stillness, and restlessness of mind, etc. These are called mind states that move away from feeling. It has stirred, it has reacted. That's why all your phobia, your fear, your anger, your hatred, all these are emotion. And this emotion, the Buddha defined it under Sankhara. Sankhara is everything that your mind can do, including your feeling and perception. So perception aggregate is your mind can perceive what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you tactile feel and think. So perception is an aggregate of mind because that is one of the things that your mind can do. It can feel, it can perceive. And the rest is everything that your mind can do, including feeling and perception, is actually your sankhara activity. Sometimes they use the word mental formation, mental intention. All this only describe one aspect of sankhara. In fact, sankhara is everything your mind can do. It's not only mental formation, mental states, mental emotions. It includes your mental intention, your planning, your scheming, your whatever analysis, reasoning. All this thought activity and movement, we call it sankhara. That's why the Buddha like to use the word sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha. He never break it up like sabbe vedana sanya sankhara anicca. No, he used the word sankhara. So this is how you break it up. Then what else can your mind do apart from that thinking and stirring and movement of mind state, which is sankhara? Your mind can also make you conscious of what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you tactile feel and think. So consciousness is also an aggregate, but consciousness is the receptacle before the content went in. In that aspect, you can understand the five aggregate so much better. So you forget about what they describe. Then the 18th sensor, I think I have gone through. We skip the whole thing. Okay. Then the 7 primary. 4:30 already. Okay, we stop here. Here they use the English word wrongly. 7 primary element. It is not 7 primary. It's the 7 universal concomitant or content of consciousness. You see, at the moment of sense experience, simultaneously the 7 universal arise. And according to the Buddha in his Abhidhamma teaching, these 7 universal are common to all consciousness. They must arise simultaneously. That's why it's called the 7 universal. But here they interpret and translate it differently. Anyway, we keep it for next Surangama Sutra, the sharing session. The thing that they describe as 7 primary also different. It's different from the 7 universal. But they like to teach according to what they understand. So they talk about the primary elements, the earth element, the water element, the liquid element, and the fire element, which represent the element of warmth, wind, liquid and fire. Then also they have the element of motion, space, visual awareness, and finally consciousness. That's why it's totally different. We'll just leave it for next session. Okay. Relax body and mind, maintain awareness, then stabilize the awareness. Then for those who have already developed stability of awareness, you can move on to the fourth support, which is using your trust. Trust your nature within to do the meditative movement, which means you just silence everything, maintain awareness and stay at the heart area and let the nature move by itself. Means no more interference from the thought process. No more interference from your views, opinion, conditioning and belief system. Just allow the pure awareness nature within to activate or develop the movement on its own. Then whatever you can detect, just stay with it, be aware, silent. Ability to maintain awareness is very important. Just silent and let it move. Then it will detect on its own, it will move on its own. Then when the causes and conditions are there, when you are ready, then this pure awareness nature will actually bring forth the causes and conditions for you to understand many things. Then you will realize that you have two minds, the true mind and the thinking mind, mundane mind, conditioned arising mind. Then you can also come to develop the understanding of what that nature within is. But to do that, you have to allow that true mind or silent mind to detect the nature, the gateway into the nature. Then let it move by itself, let the transformation happen by itself. That part, most people may not be able to do, but you can. Just give it a try. My nature will rejoice. Because the fourth support is only needed for those going the Bodhisattva way. If you are satisfied with the sainthood way, then the first three support is enough. But no harm giving it a try. You never know what will happen. When the faith is there, understanding is there, causes and conditions are there, things will fall into place. Then it will just happen by itself. Okay, I will set the alarm for 45 minutes. Then you all can continue with your 45 minutes of awareness-based meditation. I will ring the bell after that. Then you can slowly, mindfully come out of the meditation. You can slowly, mindfully come out of the meditation. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness that you have developed for as long as you can. These are the mind state that you need to stabilize your daily mindfulness. So now we'll continue from our second session, which is meditation reporting, followed by whatever question you may have.
Good afternoon, Bratio, Mrs. Teo, and all Kanamitas. I find today's Bratio's teaching at the whiteboard there, you explain about the karmic nature. That part is very clear. Today is very clear. I share about when the recent time when I went back to see my father. First time he complained to me. It's really painful to hear that, He said, 要生不能好好的生 要死又不能死。
Yeah.
So I can, because all this while, for the past 1 year plus, he has been bedridden for the past 1 year plus.
Oh.
So he never complained. Every time I go back, he is very happy. So because now his sight deteriorate, eyesight cannot see, and his hearing also not so good really. He can only sense, he can only feel.
Yeah.
He can feel. I can sense that inside him he's very clear. Every time I go back, he's very clear. When I feed him, he's with the eyes closed. So previously when I call him, he can still hear me, or he can say, "Oh, you come back." He know.
Oh,
but
okay.
these last 2 times, I call him, he cannot hear me already. He cannot hear me. He can only sense me. So when I feed him, because he cannot see the food reaching his mouth, you see. So I used to tickle his his chin, his jaw, the chin there. Or when I tickle him, I will say, "Oh, you come back, it's you." Last 2 times. And that day, yesterday, when I went to see him, he's really suffering old age. He's really suffering at his age, at 94, 95. He has lived enough. The sensation is like, you can, he don't have to say anything, you know. When he can feel that I'm back, you know,
they are actually capable of consciousness. So even though they cannot see, they cannot really hear clearly, but that sensation, which is part of the awareness part, that one can actually understand. That's why that one can really manifest. It can still perceive and develop all those so-called form and mind activity. But this is part and parcel of the reality of the form and mind. That's why to go through old age, sickness, disease, and finally facing death is not easy. That's why the Buddha called it suffering. When one is confronted with birth, old age, sickness, and death, dukkha will be the result if you don't have the Dhamma. So for most people, it's not easy. Even in Singapore, I remember Brother D.K. Chan. He very, very good. He has a very elderly mother, I think. The mother's sister also equally old. That time, I think 3 or 4 years back, when they invite me over for house dana, he was full of joy. He brought them. That time, the mother and the sister cannot see already. Hearing also quite bad, but they have faith. They were alert and they full of joy. Of course, they also couldn't really walk. I think also 90 plus. But he did his filial piety duty very well. And they attended and they were full of joy and they performed a lot of wholesomeness. That's why that one really, something really amazing. To me, I was full of joy to see a real Kayamita who have the filial piety and understanding to take care of the mom so well. Of course, they have the maid and all those things, but it's not easy. For your case, also understandable, because you have to go back to Malacca. Then I think your dad is very close to you. But these are reality. So we need to develop the Dhamma understanding to observe, then to feel. It will be very good, like you say, you tickle while trying to feed him. The best is just hold his hand, and talk to him. Everything is of the nature to come, arise, then go through whatever he has to go through. Then when the causes and condition has come to be, then everything will find its own dynamic and balance. Then they will know actually. But remind them of the good old time, how they sacrifice, how they actually bring you all up, take care of you all. All this can give them a lot of joy. Maybe while you hold his hand or they say, don't worry, you have done very well. Your life is beautiful. And as children, you all express your gratitude and thank for what they have done for you. So, in fact, you can also let him understand these are realities that everybody who lives long enough have to go through. In fact, to have all the children, siblings, and also grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren, is a great blessing. And to have this long life is counted as great blessing. Even people later on, let's say, they pass away. I think the Chinese tradition also have this understanding. If you have lived for 5 generations, means in Hokkien they say, seen through 5 generations, kuay go tai. The funeral is a happy occasion, it's not a sad occasion. And there is a lot of understanding. But these are Dhamma that will unfold, and you can learn a lot actually. Last time when Brother Tion's father around, I remember we used to come to the class. Then we also observe he actually at that age, the time also 90 something, I remember. So sometimes you all help him on his behalf to like make the dana offering when we are having the puja, even helping him to light the candle. Or I can see the joy in him because of the faith. And that time you also take care of him very well. Although as usual, you all know, old people, they tend to go through that phase. But that's the reality, because when we were young, we also give our parents a lot of problems. We also do all those things that we doesn't really understand. But for them, as they age, they go through all this. You cannot blame them. That is the deterioration of the senses and their consciousness, and they will become like that. But without the Dhamma, in fact, not easy for most people to go through birth, old age, sickness and death, especially old age. Of course, sickness, a lot of people suffer. Then the pending death is actually not easy, like you mentioned. He first time complained to you that it is really suffering. Because that phase, your consciousness is very different. But at least I think your dad hasn't reached that stage where the karmic consciousness has taken over. Based on what you described, it must be the phase that he finds it very difficult to endure because the sight has gone. Understand? I think the hearing also difficult already. And now, especially our forefather, my parents also same, they don't like to be like a burden to their children and others. You understand? That part you must understand them. Then they will say all those words to you. But you have to tell them, don't worry that when we're young you take care of us all. You sacrifice so much. You were the backbone behind all of us, and we have what we are today is because of you. So it's our duty, our time now to take care of you. So don't worry about all this. Live. Be happy. Just let things be. Everything will come to pass. Then you will find peace. Give them hope. Give them confidence. And hold. Actually, they can sense. You hold them. They feel very good. I helped my mother at that time. And my parents, my father also. They feel very good. Especially their own children. So these are the reality of life and existence, especially getting through this so-called old age, sickness and death. Then the other part of the Dhamma that can unfold is you can reflect when the time comes. Like the Buddha said, this physical body, because they go the way of nature, they will actually go through this reality. That's why birth, old age, sickness and death, these are common reality to all mankind. When you live long enough, or when you live life long enough, you will have to confront them all. So confronting them with Dhamma understanding and wisdom, and having filial piety to let our parents understand, is something that is very difficult to come by unless the children really have the Dhamma. And for parents who have the Dhamma, most of the time they can come to terms with it. And because their generation, I think they are not cultivator. Your dad is not a Dhamma practitioner.
No, he follow my brother most of the time.
Oh, your brother.
Follow my brother, they are, I will call Taoist.
Taoist,
Yeah. He's most Taoist. So sometimes I try to teach him. Now, recently, okay already, I teach him to silent. He say, ask him to chant Amitabha.
Yeah.
He's okay already.
Nian,
He is not
Nian,
to chant.
Nian for.
He is not. He didn't resist. He no more resist already.
Yeah,
so
which is very good.
I said, you chant after me. So word by word, and then he speak also. He also can't speak so clearly. So word by word, I taught him. I said, you chant after me. So he will do a few rounds.
TK Chan, I remember in the house, he put the music, the chanting music, for the mother to listen. Where the mother cannot see. Hearing also quite bad.
He cannot. He really cannot. He got no more coordination to take the food. Inside his
cannot
mouth.
already.
He cannot
because
already.
They lose their function, their ability to not only coordination alone. They lose their ability to do all those usual things that we take for granted when we are healthy. When your health deteriorates, you can actually sense it.
Yes. I like the brother Teo say that take for granted.
Yeah.
I've been taking for granted
because
many things.
We have not reached that age to be in that state. So when you reach that age to be in that state, it's not easy. You look at Ajahn Chah, actually, it's a good example. I heard a lot of story about him. I like to read his biography and all those things. I think a lot of his disciples, Western disciples, most of them, although there are some close Thai disciples, they take care of him very well. They really very big. And you look at him, although he's like a vegetable, cannot communicate, cannot do anything, but serene. And he survived for 10 over years. Is to allow the devotees, the disciple who take care of him, to develop the parami. And he just has the understanding, not only endure and just let things be. Then I think insight must be very clear. Where for him, who is a cultivator, that pure awareness nature inside, actually that one very beautiful. When you go through that cultivation, that one very clear one inside. That one is nothing to do with the form and mind. The form is the form. It goes away of nature. Then you will not have any like remorse or regret or why I am now so useless. That one is the mundane aspect of the thought process that create that sankhara activity and movement based on your views, opinion, condition. You cannot have the wisdom to understand what really happened. Then they cannot come to terms with those reality. That's why most people react and develop a lot of suffering. That's why the opening statement of the Four Noble Truths, especially the eighth reality, birth is suffering, old age, sickness, and death is suffering. And this first four is not easy to understand. And most people only come to understand them very much later, especially aging. Aging is a process, a phase, where living being can actually go through very tough situation and condition. Your cultivation can really be tested. That's why when you confront old age, sickness, pending death or whatever, it's very beautiful. Because I remember every time after 1989, every time when my body like not feeling well and go through some form of like sickness or what, I actually want to find out how is the consciousness like and what actually is happening within the form of mind. Then when I was near to age 60, I remember. That time, I remember, I actually had a heart attack actually, before I had it. But I was okay. I was completely, like, I don't feel anything. Then of course I landed in a hospital, they admitted, and they jab me, they do all those things, and I have to look at the reality. Then the consciousness is very different. Consciousness just flow through that phase that this form and mind is supposed to experience. Then the nature understand. Then I look at it, all those things. That's why I start to understand the karmic consciousness, everything. In fact, at that time, the consciousness that manifests show me a very eerie one, like connected to like the life force. It makes you feel the life force has weakened one. But then, for me, I understand. I just accept it. Then I remember there was one time after bath, I remember I came out. Then suddenly my consciousness, the life force, switched off. Then I completely black out, but my awareness is there. Then I fell, palm on the floor, very loud. My wife was with me. He panicked, he thought what happened. But my awareness inside, I was aware. And I told her, after I came back, my consciousness, I can talk. I told her, don't worry, let me rest. I rested. And then I recovered. So these are the things that it will show to you. And you can learn a lot of things. In fact, there is nothing to fear about there. In fact, nothing die. It's just the separation of the consciousness from the form. And when the consciousness is about to separate, your pure awareness nature is there. That's why it never dies. Then when I was young, I went through that phase. Although my consciousness already out, I don't have the conscious mind, but my pure awareness was there to understand how all these things happen, then how my life force dissipate, how the craving force dissipate, then how when it dissipates, it ceases to bind my consciousness to the body, then how the consciousness come out, then how my pure awareness nature is still there, still able to see weakness and understand all these things. That's why after that, when I went back into the body, I realized the body was not me, not mine. I cannot go in. Then I knew something not right. But that time I was so young. But somehow, even at that age, I know how to give it a push. Pop, then I went in. Of course, no sound. Then I went in. Then I regained consciousness. I regained control back, the physical form. Then the first thing I want to make sure is, this is not a dream. Then I went after my brother, and I asked him, did you went in and say all those things, do all those things, then you walk out? Then he looked at me. He said, you were sleeping like a log, how do you know? I said, never mind. I just want to make sure you did all those things. He said, yeah, I went in, he said. So all this, if you have your past, when it happened, this life, you will know what it is. That's why a lot of people will tell you out of body experience, all those things. But most of them are non-cultivated, they don't know what this thing is. So for me, I was lucky. At that time, I don't know how to meditate. I don't even have the Dhamma at 8 years old. But then it's a phase for me to understand. Then as I grew up, a lot of things happened. Then from what my past tell me, I knew I'm not normal. I have my past. That's why I went through all this. So for different people, they experience it differently. You are non-cultivator, non-Dhamma practitioner, you will experience it differently also. Then when you look at the teaching that the Buddha mentioned, it's very beautiful. We are all born our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned, supported by you are what you are because of your karma. Wow, that one like very powerful, that message. And you can see, you can like experience all this and know what is going on. Then you can sense and feel how people go through all this. Then now I look back also, since childhood until now, when I was young, I remember. In fact, a lot of my childhood friends, when I was in that small town, they passed away very young. Most of them either get drowned or accident or bitten by poisonous snake and all those things. So when I was young, there is already some. Then when I went to school, of course in between, there was also one or two. Then when I went to the uni, also I saw one in the second year, he passed away. That time also very young. Then as I graduate, then when I reached the age of 60, I realized quite a number of my university mate and my batch one from my school in Alostar. Actually that time about 5% already gone. Then by the time I hit about now 72, I think more than 15% have passed away. Yeah. And I look back, each and every one is very unique, very different, the way they pass away. But most of them, disease, heart attack and all those things. And disease one is a lot. Some they have the disease very young. In fact, during my second year, I got one roommate. He also passed away very early. He smoked a lot, I think lung cancer. He is a chain smoker from Penang. Then after that, third year and final year, I got another classmate, a very close friend, family friend also. He also passed away, but much later, I think age 60 plus a bit. But that time, I think he got heart problem. Before that, he already got a bypass. That's why after the bypass, he survived for many years. Then after that, suddenly one day, we heard he passed away. Then at the wake, I met the wife, we were very close. So I asked her what happened. He said, he also very surprised. She herself don't believe. He said the husband was watching, you call what, every 4 year football World Cup. He was watching World Cup until he got heart attack and collapsed there. Nobody knows. Until next morning she came down, the TV was still on, but he already, the breath all gone away, body cold. So they just passed away. So these are the various type of causes and conditions that manifest as death. Then you see a lot of them, most of them don't know how to take care. Don't know how to take care. That's why, because you don't know how to take care, actually a lot of them succumb to disease. And the very common one is what I saw my brother-in-law also, he didn't understand that time. Colon cancer. You don't take probiotic, all these things. Really. And in fact, colon cancer, another 2 classmates also go through. But by the time detect at Sunway, one is Subang Medical Center, already too late. I think 4th stage or 3rd stage already. Then the doctor say maximum 6 months. Really. They pass away after that. Then got one, I think, pancreatic cancer. Then another one, also another type of cancer, quite bad. At that time, the doctor also told him there is no more drug that they can recommend or admit. You can only try those, they newly found one, but they need to test, go through the test, all those things. Then he was recommended to go to Singapore to try that drug. He went and tried, but couldn't make it. So these things are quite common. But most of them didn't really survive long, because our average lifespan is supposed to be 76 or 77 for male, I think. Lady maybe 1 or 2 years more. But according to statistics, based on the normal distribution bell curve, another 4 more years, we will hit 76 now. By statistics, half of our classmates should have passed away. And that is a very, a lot of the classmates, when they heard this, they say, "Hai Maya," means 50% will be gone now. And now, only 15% gone now, which means another 35% now. Within these 4 years now, will be gone. But so far so good. Statistically, I think our unimate my Alasa classmate, we actually beat the statistics so far. So maybe 4 years time I will let you all know how many really pass away. Because our university classmate engineering, we have 210, I think. 210. I think now almost 30 is gone. 30 of them. And most of these 30, because small class, we know them all very well. And we actually were quite close when in the university. But it just happened. Then I got a lot of these friends, not really my uni mate, but I get to know them friend. They all keep telling me, I think you also heard before, when they reach the age of 60, coming to 70, they say, recently I've been attending my classmates' wake. Keep on attending. Means a lot of the classmates start to pass away. And my year one, I think last year or 1 year earlier, within 2 months, almost 3 pass away. That's why all these are reality which you will see, you will observe, you will come. But that is the reality. That is what life is. And my mother and my father, how they passed away, I also saw. But of course, my mother was like very blessed. He only suffered for 1 day. Not really suffer. He knows she is dying. So we admit her. Then, like that specialist center, ICU, then the doctor did a final confirmation on the blood test, everything. He told us, in fact, before my mother admit, she was healthy, mobile, and 89 years old at that time, and everything is on her own. Then when she admit, I told my younger brother who called me, I said, admit immediately. My mother never complained. So suddenly one morning, he tell my youngest brother, he was staying with him, he said he don't feel good. He don't feel good. Then my brother called me. I said, admit immediately. Luckily admit. Then they put her on ICU, did all the tests, and middle of the night, she passed away peacefully. And the next morning was my flight to Thailand. I remember Katina. So all this are like meant to be. Because before that, my father passed away, I did the whole thing for them. And I teach them how to do. Then when my mother passed away, I just tell my elder brother and younger brother, you follow exactly what we do for that. Then everything will be okay. I said, I will go Thailand. I will do what I have to do on my part. Then my mother is very blessed because just less than a year before she passed away, my younger brother came and discussed with me, said, why not we buy that package for mom? Because Sisi got a package. You donate 100,000. They will put her on a type of, I don't know what they call it. Then when you pass away, they will come and do it up very nicely for you. And like meant to be. Then after that, my classmate in Alostar called me, the lawyer classmate who is doing very well. He said, Ken Kuna, he said, your mom's funeral, the wake, he said, so grand, he said. He never expect it to be so grand. Because the Chichi really came and do it very well. Where my brother and sister, they help out there. So a lot of this thing is meant to be. And they don't suffer. And my mother very blessed. Last time the Penang Bridge collapse incident, I told you, she escaped. Because she has very kind heart. And she very good mom and dad. They do their duty very well. That's like their life, very good. So all this, You can see, you can witness. Then whoever who need to go through life the way it's supposed to be, because they are all born of their karma, their karma condition, they are what they are because of their karma. All this you can see. Then I remember I also witnessed, you remember the Klangxia, Nancy Sasa? Just before he passed away, I was invited there to the house Dana, then give whatever thing. Then after that, I deliver the blessing and all the things. Then that time, he cannot talk already actually. But I can sense he's still, the consciousness still there. Then later on, he passed away. Then I think Nancy, they all contacted me. Then we went down, I remember. And that was the first time I did a funeral chanting for Sia in the house there. I remember you also went there. Then Ingvi also helped, I think. He got the booklet from xxxviii or something. So all this, you can learn and develop the understanding and witness all this. And these are very wholesome. It not only prepare you for pending confrontation with the reality of always sickness and death, it can also give you wisdom, understanding. Then when you really understand, like what I say, nothing die. Death is not fearful. Death is not difficult. It's just the consciousness separate. Nothing. Actually, it's very easy to die. And there is no such thing as death. That's why take care of karma. Karma take care of your life. Be good and have good. Then everything will be the way it's supposed to be, meant to be. In fact, when you understand no reality, finally, he know you, he know me. But there is such thing as life, existence. So all this understanding, when you understand, when the time comes, you are very different. The consciousness inside that true mind is actually beautiful, beautiful. And that one, no suffering, nothing. The form can go the way of nature, no problem. That's why the Buddha can, before he's passing away, the parinirvana, he can still give advice. Strive on with heedfulness. Apamadena, sampadena. Then he even advised a lot of his disciples, no need to grieve. But at that time, I think Ananda, they were still Sotapan, not much understanding as yet. That's why they lament and they go through those phases. Even Sixth Patriarch, you read his, the last chapter, I remember we go through. A lot of his disciples still cry and lament, where they like miss him, say. But he very clear, he actually passed on all the understanding and the needed, what they call advice, before the parinirvana, before he meditated and ceased. So all this you can witness. And these are simple understanding that can be cultivated by a true cultivator. That's why our pure awareness nature, that cultivation is very important. When you can stay there, actually technically you don't die. Nothing die. That's why the Buddha got no problem, because he realized the body is not him. Old age, sickness and death, even birth, has got nothing to do with him. It is that form and mind that goes the way of nature, that have to go through all this and experience all this. And finally, he know you, he know me. So all these are very beautiful. Okay, I have to end already, I think. So you want to summarize?
Okay. I think from there I see a close person to you.
Especially your own parents.
Yes. The feeling is so much different.
Very different.
Yes, so much
then
different.
You remember you have done your duty well, so don't worry. You continue to deliver your duty and see to everything when the time comes. Because your family also, I think, quite a big group.
Yes, a big group.
Then they are also very proud to have your father live so long. I remember I attended his birthday that time. You invite us all.
90 years old that time.
90 years old. That was beautiful. Sui was there. That was beautiful. Wow, I saw all the brothers and sisters. A lot of joy that time. So remind him of all those moments. Like I remind my mother and my father of that Chinese New Year when I took them, the whole family, all to Hakiao Resort in Thailand. And that time my dad was very happy.
Actually, we took him for holidays separately also. I took him a few times, then my younger sister.
You just talk to him and remind him. Then through the recollection, the joy will arise. And it will help them to steer their karmic consciousness. But for your father, I think he is full of merits, I think. He did his duty very well too.
Actually, so far, only these two times that I go back, I heard him. I can feel that he's agitated already.
Of course, without the
previously,
Dhamma,
no, he always joke with me. You are back or what? But sometimes I can feel if I stretch a bit longer, I don't go back, then he will start turn his back, and then he show a bit of.
I explained to you just now. The way he reacts is because we are Chinese, especially our forefather. They don't want to trouble their children when they are at the bedridden stage. They feel it's a burden. My father also don't want to. That's why my father want to be discharged and all those things. He doesn't want. He himself suffer, never mind. But he don't want the children to suffer unnecessary. Then a lot of things they will know. Then, like I explained, your father is because he don't have the Dhamma, but he has the good life. He has a good parami too. But he feels that he's so useless when the senses start to fail him. That's why he will feel those things. Then he will speak to you from the heart. But console them, hold their hand, don't worry. These are reality that everybody has to go through.
That's what I told him. I told him.
And you can also give him.
Queen also have to
give him the example. He said, Brother Tim's father also like his age at that time. He said he also went through. So all these are reality, and just give him the faith and the confidence. You have done so well. You don't worry. Now it's your turn, or your children, all the children's turn to look after him, and tell him, don't worry. We will be around to see to everything.
Thank you for brother.
No problem.
Okay, what I learned is we have to treasure our.
When they are around.
Yes.
When they are around.
When they are around, and we have to make use of what we have. We are still healthy. We can still walk around. Make sure we do our duty. And then cultivate well so that they can have a share of what we cultivate.
Yes. That's why at that time I remember my father. He wants to discharge. Then I told my brother, I said, let him discharge. Ask him what he wants to do. Well, at that age, really, the organ failure was 4. Then he was full of joy. Then after that, I drove him back. Of course, my sister accompanied me, the one in HUKM, the nurse. So I sent him back to Alostar. Then there, we arrange everything. I tell my brother, if he wants to go Adventist hospital, bring him there. He used to tell me he wants to express his gratitude towards the hospital that helped him survive when he was 30 years old, I think, the ulcer operation, which he survived. So all those things, you can actually benefit from going through all this. That's why when I fetch him back, I talk to him too, and I say, if I know he wants to be back in the hometown, I say, you don't worry. I said, tomorrow I'll drive you back personally, and with my sister. So 2 of us brought him back. Then before I reach Halasta, my brother, they already ready. They really prepare everything they can. Then after that, ask him, want to go to Adventist hospital or not? And he agreed, surprisingly. So that last few days, even when bring him to Penang and meet him, he can still joke. He was put on the bed where the automatic thing can bring up, make you, like your backrest can move on. He told my brother, the one that take care of him and stay human, he said, we must buy one like that one when I discharge from hospital. And he was full of joy. But then, the second day, I think, he knew, not right already. He told my eldest brother's son who was there, he said, call your dad, call your brother, your uncles and auntie. He said, come. He said, not enough time to see him already. That's why we know he is passing away. And immediately after that, I arranged the flight, everything. Then we go back. Then they prepared the wake. Everything was done very well coordinated. Then my younger brother asked me, at first he wanted to put at his house. I said, cannot. We got our eldest brother. Ask him whether he wants to allow father's body to be there or not. If he doesn't want, then only we decide who is next. My brother, very good. He said, no problem. So he has a big compound also. So it was a beautiful funeral. So no problem. Your family side you can handle. Yeah. Then now Brother Tim already free to assist you and help you.
Yeah, he always.
Yeah. He's very good.
Yes.
Because what you have done for his father, honestly, that thing will generate the merits and the wholesomeness. Okay? Yeah. You finalize it.
I think that's all.
That's
treasure
all.
Our life.
Yeah.
佛法难闻，
Yeah.
人生难得，佛法难闻。So when we can,
Yeah.
we cultivate.
Okay, let us rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, we will do the sharing of merits. Then we end. Akasata cha bhumata deva naga mahindika punyang tang anumoditwa chirang rakantu loka sasana ittavata chamehi sampadan punya sampadan sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya idang me nyatina hotu sukita hontu nyateyo idang me nyat hotu sukita hontu nyateyo idang me nyat hotu sukita hontu nyateyo devo sadhukalena sasa sampati heto cha fito bhavatu loko cha raja bhavatu dhammiko imina punyang kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yawa nivana patiya sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay, you all now can pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. Then we end. Sadhu.